Sunday's games from week 3 are in the books, and oh boy, I really don't know how to feel about this game. By the way, if y'all hear rain in the background, well, weather just happened, so I guess you're gonna have to ignore it. I gotta push through. But anyway, I really don't know how to feel about this game because we were losing 28-6 at one point, and I was very, very frustrated. But a loss is still a loss. We tried at the very end. But everyone's been saying this season feels like 2020, and it absolutely does. Okay, now that I think about it for a little bit, yeah, this was a fake comeback. The score was definitely misleading. The real final score was 28-6. Now, most of those stats you see here, those 2 touchdowns, they came in garbage time from Dak Prescott, and a similarity between the 2020 season and this season is that for some reason we're only scoring points in garbage time, especially this game. That's what I mean by fake comeback. We're down 28-6 and then we scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. That's not really a comeback, that's just scoring in garbage time. Now, it wasn't entirely Dak Prescott's fault. I mean, the receivers were dropping balls, fumbling. We'll get to that in a minute. The line wasn't blocking at all. It was a very frustrating game, but I should not expect Dak Prescott to be performing like that. I mean, 28 from 51, that's not terrific. Speaking of receivers, CeeDee Lamb might have had the worst game. He had good stats compared to the other receivers, but we know how good CeeDee Lamb is, and it's raining again. We know how good CeeDee Lamb is, and we know how good he can be, so for him to only put up 67 yards, and he fumbled inside like the 5-yard line when we were about to score, yeah, it's just, we could have won this game, but we missed so many opportunities. And things are looking a lot worse for our new defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer. Now, last week, I gave him some grace. I gave him the benefit of the doubt because Dan Quinn had some bad games at defensive coordinator as well. But even though the Ravens are also a very good offense, it's not looking good at all. I mean, they were destroying us. I mean, those first few drives, we had no answer. They were demolishing us. It was horrible. And no matter how much talent we have, no matter how good we are in the regular season, we will never win the Super Bowl as long as Jerry Jones or possibly any of his family members are owning the Dallas Cowboys, or maybe even a part of the Dallas Cowboys in general. I genuinely believe, I truly believe we have a satanic curse against us. Okay, I'm done talking about the Cowboys, so let's get to the other games, and let's start off with the Vikings. Holy cow. No one expected them to be 3-0, and no one expected them to destroy the Texans, and no one expected Sam Darnold to be playing this well. I mean, we talked about last week how Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield are playing like MVP candidates. Sam Darnold is too. I mean, a little under 200 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. I also said last week the NFL is the no-figure-out league, and it always has been, but for some reason this season, it just feels a little bit more off. Mahomes is not playing well. All the great quarterbacks are playing mediocre, and then the best quarterbacks playing right now are some of the most mid quarterbacks of all time. Kevin O'Connell deserves so much more credit. I remember when he came in 2022, the Vikings were mid for a bunch of years, and then he came in and immediately turned the Vikings into a very solid playoff team, 12-5 record. And then coming into this season, the Vikings were supposed to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Instead, they're sitting at a 3-0 record, looking like arguably the best team in the NFL. And if they keep this up, he no doubt should win Coach of the Year. While it's looking good for Sam Darnold, it's not looking good for Bryce Young at all, as he was benched following last week's game, and they decided to start Andy Dalton. And what happened? Well, Andy Dalton led the Panthers to a 36-22 victory, and this is the first time they've had a 2-possession win since 2 years ago. Like I said, Andy Dalton played well, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, one of the best quarterbacks from this week. It's absolutely insane how these mediocre quarterbacks have become the best in the NFL through 3 weeks so far. And like I said earlier too, it's not looking good for Bryce Young, but I'm going to give him the benefit of a doubt. If you looked at the last few young guys who've played for the Panthers ever since Cam Newton left, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and now Bryce Young, it has not gone well for them at all. And you look at Darnold and Baker now, they have done very well in their new places, so hopefully the same will happen for Bryce Young. And the only quarterbacks to do well with the Carolina Panthers since Cam Newton left have been Andy Dalton and Teddy Bridgewater, who are proven veterans. Now, there is a lot on my bingo card entering the 2024 NFL season, but something that was definitely not there at all was a Malik Willis revenge game against this old team. He didn't play amazing, he played alright, 202 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, but again, he beat his former team. That's something I was not expecting at all this year. If you would have told me that the sloppiest and least offensive produced game of the week would have been the Eagles and Saints, I would have thought you were absolutely insane. The final score was 15-12, and much of the reason was because of Nick Sirianni. He did not cook up a good game at all. He was an awful coach last night, or it wasn't the night, but you get that point. He did not coach a good game at all. Going for it on 4th down when he really didn't need to. Even Darius Slay's wife was talking about how bad it was. Not only that, but Jalen Hurts, he had a good game when it came to the yards, but he had 2 turnovers, and that completely set the back. Now, that game being so sloppy, I would say that was pretty shocking, but I think what was even more shocking was the fact that Broncos beat the undefeated Buccaneers 26-7, and coming into this game, the Broncos didn't even have a single win, and Bo Nix really shined out with this one. He looked like the best rookie this week, if it weren't for one other guy in New York. That man is Malik Neighbors, as he helped the Giants get their first win of the season over the Browns 21-15, and Malik Neighbors, like I said, had another phenomenal week. 2 touchdowns, 82 yards on 8 receptions. As of right now, I would have him as my offensive rookie of the year. Devin Singletary also had a good week, and he's been very underrated so far this season. I have him on my fantasy team, and I had him on the bench at first, but now I have him as a starter. We have a 2 flex league, and he's been absolutely insane. He's been doing really well. He deserves more credit for what he's done so far this year. The Pittsburgh Steelers are now at a 3-0 record, and even though they're undefeated and they've been winning games, they look boring doing it. This is the most boring 3-0 team I've seen, and we talked about earlier with the Cowboys with their similarities with the 2020 season. Well, this is another one. The Steelers barely winning games against okay to straight up bad teams, and like I said, this is a very boring team. But I mean, hey, I gotta respect it though, they're undefeated. This will be the last game I'm going to be talking about because the other games don't really interest me that much. But the Colts and Bears played, and the Colts got their first win of the season. But the most important takeaway, in my opinion, from this game is that Caleb Williams finally had a decent outing. He threw for over 360 yards, that's pretty good. 2 touchdowns, and those are the first 2 of his career. But he also threw 2 interceptions, so that's not good. But if he can take care of the interception problem, he's going to be pretty good in the NFL. And I think if he can definitely, limit the turnovers, he's going to have a pretty good rookie season. That's pretty much it for me. One thing I do want to know is, I want to say, look at the goalposts, and I don't know what you call it, but that little thing, the blue thing right there, makes for a pretty cool optical illusion. But anyway, that's about it. None of the other games interest me, or none of the notable stat line scenarios notice or interest me. So yeah, that's about it. What do you think about this week? Let me know in the comments below, and that's about it. Bye.